Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing my out-of-box review for the absolutely massive RE100 Hamma Hamma. So this kit was teased last year, and we had a long wait until we got any more news about it, and then finally it came. And it's pretty incredible. It's very big, it's very detailed, and you should expect that from the RE line. Much of the RE kits have been a little bit larger in size, not all of them, but this one is definitely one of them. I'll show you guys a little bit of a size comparison here in a few minutes after we talk about a few other things. But of course that's not like I'm spending a lot of time here talking about how large it is, but it is just a really nice kit overall. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with it. Just the fact that it is very big is probably going to be one of the kind of more stunning factors of it, as we don't really have a whole lot of 1/100 scale kits that are so large before you start getting to different scales. So yeah, it's big, it's bulky, and the one thing that is a little bit unfortunate about it is that it's very unstable, just especially in the ankles. You're seeing it going around all right now, but yeah, all of that weight up on top, huge, obviously very heavy shoulders, very heavy around the midsection as well, all of that big bulk of those big sections around the skirt armor, all make it to be very, very, very top heavy, and it's all balanced on two tiny little joints there at the ankles, and so it has a tendency to fall either forward or backwards very easily. So it's one thing you're going to have to be careful of, but we'll see how it handles up on an action base. I have a feeling that due to its immense weight, it may even have trouble even on an action base, but we'll have to see. I would definitely recommend stiffening up those ankles. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. Let's get to talking about the articulation. Also, while we're doing that, let's just say a huge thank you, as always, to USA Gundam Store for sending me this kit to share with you guys. If you guys want to check this kit out, check it out on USA Gundam Store and whatever else there. Use that coupon code ZakuAurelius10. Save yourself 10%. I shouldn't have shaken the kit like that because the leg just came off. But yeah, as always guys, that link for USA Gundam Store and the coupon code is down below in the information. If I said it too fast for you or something, you can check that out. So let's start off with the head here. The head is very spiky. As you'll see, I did use one of the stickers here. We do have this sticker sheet. I only used a couple of them, one on the front there and one on the back, just so you guys can see like kind of how they're going to look. But as expected, the stickers look kind of passable, but you can see the outline of the sticker and it just doesn't really look very good. Back to the head, we have a clear pink piece there for the mono eye inside there. You can move the mono eye side to side if you have something to kind of push that. So you can move that to the side if you want. The whole head can turn side to side as well, and those spikes are just looking pretty crazy. They just come like that, so you don't have to trim the nubs or anything. That's exactly how they come, straight out of the box. Up to only about there, and down to about there. Don't want to loosen that part there. I think the head looks great. It definitely, if you kind of like take off all the stuff around it, if you kind of took off all the spikes and everything here, it would look very much like a Zaku head in there, so it definitely has that Xeon mono eye look to it. Kind of don't really like how this yellow part at the front, usually these kind of plugs, these cables will plug into something, they just look kind of like they're just floating there. When the head is down, you can't really see that so much, so it's not as noticeable. If you have the head up, that looks a little bit unsightly, I think, there in the front. But you can see gray piece in there for that. The color separation on this kit is really nice. We have this clear pink piece here in the chest, that little rectangle square or thing there, and then the clear pink piece there in the stomach part as well. If you remember from the unboxing, we had stickers for those actually, but those parts, the mono eye, this one here, and this one here, those were the only three foil stickers that we had in this kit, and they're just pink stickers to cover up clear pink parts, so I just didn't use those. Kind of seems a little bit pointless. But here in the stomach section, there's no articulation front and back, side to side, only rotation here. So there's no stomach crunching or anything. Here in the shoulders, though, we have a nice shoulder joint that swings out. You can see that swings out to there. So that's pretty nice. Shoulder can move up way out here though, so the shoulder joint, like the base where it connects to the body's in there, but then the actual joint for the arm is way out inside of here. This big huge shoulder piece does move on its own. You can see we have a lot of little thruster bells in there, 8 of them, and then the gray piece is set inside of there. So again, we have the dark green, light green, gray, and red all in here for some nice color separation. So it moves up and down. As I was saying, back to the arm can move up only to about 90 degrees though, but I think if you cut the part that's making up the arm there, you could probably cut that a little bit if you want to make that to go up a little bit higher. Alternatively, you can of course just rotate the arm and then kind of fake it, put it up higher like that. Anyway, we've got some rotation here in this part, and then rotation at the elbow as well. This elbow joint is actually optional. I thought that was kind of strange in the manual while I was putting this kit together. You can actually do without that elbow joint, in which case the arm will look like this. Then obviously you've got no elbow articulation, but you can do that for whatever reason. You just don't like the look of that elbow joint, maybe, because it does look a little bit weak and a little bit kind of simple and silly in there. But anyway, here on the forearm you can see we have this connection for a shield. We have that on the front and back. The arm is the same on the front and on the back. Now without the elbow joint, it's kind of hard to move that around. Down in the hand, nice little red piece for the barrels. Each of the 3 fingers do open up to their 3 finger claws, I guess I should say. And this whole thing can rotate as you like. Down here in the waist section, all of these little skirt sections are individually articulated, so those all fold out, 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 out like that. Those all have the same thing like with the shoulders, dark green, light green, gray, and red in there for some nice color separation. As for the spread of the legs, you're able to get those out pretty plenty wide, I think, but the weight of them, I guess, is going to hold pretty well, so that's alright. Forward to about here. Now here's something that I want to point out is how awesome this bend in the knee is. Just to make this a little bit easier, I'm going to just take this leg off because I'm finding that this is coming apart at this part here quite often, like you saw before. But anyway, if we bend the knee, you can see the knee separation there. We have this yellow tubing inside. This moves on its own, but it's not like with a normal master grade or something that would be like when you move this would move together. In this case, you just have to move it manually. But that moves, but this part on the back of the leg there folds in like that when you move that. So you can get a nice bend there in the knee. It's really, you know, from the static position, it's really only like 90 degrees, but it's really not too bad. The thigh, I mean, is super short, and we have this really long lower leg. But the fact that it has that part that goes in on the back of the leg and the knee armor that moves separately is really quite nice. So for this being an RE100 kit and not a master grade, that's a pretty nice feature. So that's nice. We can see just tons of great detail all around on this kit. Some nice color separation here at the feet as well. This gray set inside the green there for this ankle armor, which can move a little bit there, kind of like that. And then lots of nice detail there up underneath the feet as well. The front toes kind of like goes together like that, but those are actually just on ball joints, so those can actually be moved around separately and separated like that if you want. Here in the back, these back toes can also be moved a little bit. The back toes can't move like up and down, although they can move side to side. They can't move up and down. The front toes can move up and down though, so you can have those pointing down and then angle the ankle down like that. So if you want to have it like flying, you can make the feet sort of look the part for that. So we'll put this up on action base here in a bit and see how well that actually looks. But just going around to the back of the kit again here for a moment, super long. You see, there goes that leg again. Super long back skirt here with that thing shooting out the back, and then all these cables going around in here in the stomach section. And those are like a little bit soft plastic, but I don't think those are going to be too hard to paint. I think they should be fine. And that's some nice color separation here again in the backpack as well. Nothing moves on that. That's all just set how it is. I did put another sticker here so you guys can see how that looks. But this little bit, these little yellow parts that fit into this kind of shoulder mechanism here, those have a tendency to fall out there. So there's 4 of those, 2 on the front and 2 on the back. And so 2 of mine stayed in and 2 of them popped out. So I actually ended up gluing those in place. Those will be easy enough to just hand paint later whenever I paint the kit, so I'm not too worried about that. Even if I wasn't hand painting them, those would be actually kind of hard to clip on anything, because the nubs for those are actually on the ends of those pieces, and so you have to cut just a little bit of the nub. Be careful not to cut that too much, because if you cut that too much, then that part is not going to stay in there. You're going to have to glue it in. Like I said, I don't think it's a really big deal to have to glue it in, but if you want to avoid that, then definitely make sure you don't cut too much of the nub away to pop that, to keep it into place there. Alright, so for accessories, we do have an action-base connector. Like I said, I haven't actually tried this on an action base yet, but we'll try that in a minute, see how well that holds. We have our shield with the mega particle cannon and mines in here. So it's got the separate little red part there for the mines that can come out. There's 2 of them molded for that part in there. And then for the mega particle cannon, those are actually on ball joints, so those actually can move. You can move those a very slight little bit, but you're probably going to want to keep those in there. Great that Neo Zeon logo there is just a separate molded yellow part that looks fantastic, and to make that really easy to paint separately. Then on the back, just a lot of nice detail in here as well. We have the beam saber handles, but these are the fake ones. We have those can't actually be held in the hands. Then we have a separate beam saber handles, which are the ones that can actually be held in the hands, and then we have some clear yellow effect parts for those. So we'll talk about those just in a second. But otherwise, the shield very simply just plugs onto the arm. We can just rotate the arm. Now if you look at the kit like this from the front, it looks great. The shield looks fine on there. It looks pretty good. The problem is if you have it turned like that and you see this arm and then the shield, and the shield is just flat across the back, and then you have this big gap between there, that just doesn't look good at all. Let's just say my thoughts on the shield just depend on the angle that I'm looking at it from, so let's just keep that like that. The beam saber is fit into the hand by just snapping that circular peg right in the center of the three barrels of the beam cannon here in the hand, and then you can just close the claws around that, which really aren't necessary, but just to make it look the part, that's how it holds that. It's nice and secure. For a kit that has mega particle cannon in the shield, and then wire guided Psychomo hands and claws and beam cannons in the claws, you really wonder what is the purpose for having a beam saber. You think it's probably got weaponry enough, but hey, everything's got to have a beam saber, right? So it's got that. And then we have the parts for the arm extensions. So there's two types. This one with the yellow plastic part running in the inside, and then the black wires running around there. There's three. This one it's interesting how you weave that wire. How with this one, it's similar to the Rosenzulu, how that's just, you have a long wire, you cut three separate parts, so that's just 1, 2, 3 separate segments of wire in there. But this one is just, you cut it and it's just one segment of wire, so you run it through and then back like that. So that's actually much better, but then I don't know why they don't tell you to do that with this one, why they tell you to cut three separate parts, but that's just how they tell you to do it in the manual. So this is the section for going between the upper arm and the lower arm, so this is like replacing the elbow, basically. And then this part is for going from the lower arm to the hand. So I'll show you guys those in use in a moment. And then the last thing here is we have these 4 clear stands. Now, as someone pointed out to me in the unboxing video, these stands are, I believe, the same stands that were used with the real grade gold frame Amatsumina kits. So, but anyway, the parts at the end, the connection parts are different. They're new for this kit. So we have 2 different types. One type is for connecting onto the hand. One type is for connecting onto the forearm. So you don't have to have the hand actually, or the claw extended out as well. You can like just have the forearms extended out, or you can just have the hand extended out. You can do it however you want, but there's some cool options for that. All right, so surprisingly, the action base seems to be doing an alright job holding that. The connection, I don't know. The way that it connects, it kind of slides on from the back, which makes me think that if you're going to do an angle like this with the kit, that there's a very high chance that the kit is going to slide forward, just slide right off the action base and fall on its face. The other thing is that as I was worried about that those arms are just going to be strong in some places, but not so strong in others. So there's a lot of weight on those arms. Even just the shoulders are extremely heavy, but then once you add the shield onto there as well, you're going to be very, very limited in terms of the poses that you can do with the arms. And now this is, of course, only talking about the kit just straight out of the box without doing anything to it. There are many, many things, of course, that you can do to strengthen the joints, and that may not be a big issue for you guys, but just want to let you know that just straight out of the box anyway, that those arms are going to be very weighted down by the chains of gravity. Gotta say though, even despite that, it does still look pretty good just because of how awesome and pointy and crazy angly detail it's looking. I think they did a really good job with this representation of the design. But for a quick size comparison, here it is with the Master Grade the O, Master Grade Sazabi Verka, also both fellow 1/100 scale kits, and then a 1/144 scale Origin Zaku there just for a size comparison to a 1/144 scale, like kind of standard size kit. So it's definitely joining the ranks of some of the largest 1/100 scale kits out there. It's definitely got that height and bulk very similar to its 2 brethren there on each side. So obviously just weight in general and balance are going to be this kit's biggest weak points. But I think I just kind of want to go back to the design of this kit, because this is kind of the thing with the RE kits, like articulation and movement and posing is just not really going to be, I think it hasn't been, and it's probably never will be like a big selling point for the RE100 kits, just because basically what the RE line is about, at least for me, is providing us with like really nice looking 1/100 scale kits that look like master grades at first glance, but they're just designs that would either be too expensive or just not popular enough to put Bandai's full effort into making a full-on master grade for them. So like these are the kind of designs that are just kind of fringe, less popular designs that I think work well in this line where they can make a really nice looking kit without having to worry about too much engineering, which I'm sure takes up a vast amount of the actual time for making the kit. Alright, so unfortunately those tiny little effect stands that we get are just pretty much too short and useless for anything. Though, like I said, I believe that those were used for the RG kit, which is 1/44 scale. This is a giant 1/100 scale kit, so yeah, unless you're having this kit standing on the ground, they might be tall enough in just their 2-segment things, but here's a little pro tip for you guys. You really don't need the connector that connects onto the forearm segment. You really only need that for the part that connects onto the hand. So instead of 4 2-part stands, just make 2 4-part stands like this. And then another little pro tip for you is that you don't have to use that little clear circle base for that. You can just plug the ends straight into an action base. You know, the action base have those little holes there for plugging in the base into different areas, wherever you want to do that. But you can just plug these effect parts into the base, and then there you go. You've got your claws out in use. Now, unfortunately, the other thing that I noticed is that the yellow part that's supposed to be bendy between the upper arm and the lower arm is really not as it's really not all that bendy. I was like really bending that, and you can see it's a little bit bent there now, a little bit, but that's as much as I can get it to stay bent. So any more of a curve in that, if you're gonna want to have any more of a curve in that yellow part for that extended arm, probably what you're gonna have to do is maybe just boil that, get that nice and hot, and then just reform that, or using a hair dryer I think it would also work, just to sort of like reshape the plastic. But otherwise I was surprised. It actually does make it look pretty cool. I don't really like using effect parts, like the clear parts, to hold up accessories of kits. That's like, for example, the Silver Bullet. The Silver Bullet HG kit is one of my favorite kits, but I just don't like having to use the little effect stands for holding up the hands, like the wire-guided hands for that kit. And so things like this, I just really don't like using those, but they don't look too bad for this. I gotta admit, it doesn't look too terribly awful. It still looks like really pretty cool and pretty impressive. One thing that I also don't really like about this kit, and this is just totally my own personal opinion, is the red accents for the little thrusters and for the little cannons in the hands. It's just one too many colors for me, so I'll definitely be painting this in some different colors. Won't be painting this anytime soon. I don't have any plans for it at the moment, but I definitely won't be using red for those parts. But overall, a pretty cool kit. I'm actually, yeah, again, like surprised at how well it actually is able to do a pose like this. I wasn't actually expecting it to be able to do this kind of pose very well, but I think it pulls it off, and this is kind of its main thing. Like the main thing of the Hamma Hamma was the wire-guided claws and cannons. That was kind of like its most notable feature, aside from its just overall design. So I think it's pretty cool. It does it really well. You just have to have a stand. It's unfortunate that a action base wasn't included with the kit. I think it definitely would have been nice, but for how big and expensive a kit it is already, for them to throw in another 500 yen accessory in there, probably how much it would boost the cost. I don't know, probably a lot of people wouldn't have minded that, but that's just Bandai trying to make things as cheap as they possibly can for us, so can't really argue too much with that. Anyway, if you guys still do have any other questions or comments about this, if you have any concerns about it, if you think it looks awesome, then just go ahead and get it. If you're worried about the weight or anything like that, it's really not that big of a deal. There's definitely ways to easily fix that, so if you think it looks good, then just grab it. Yeah. So yeah, again, thank you guys as always for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Hey! Thanks for watching, guys. Remember, if you want to check the kit out for yourself, you can head over to USA Gundam Store. Use that coupon code ZakuAurelius10. Save yourself 10%. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.